Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us. My name is Ryan. I have my YouTube, Ryan's Gay Chicago. I also do the Harvey Historical Society on Facebook and Chicago Southland Politics Facebook page as well. So I was on Facebook the other day actually, and I saw a post that Alderwoman Monet Wilson had done
Yes.
from Calumet City. I've interviewed her before and Nyota Figs, and they had told me about a lot of the corruption and just really crazy issues that they've had there. And so there was a post about something that had happened in one of the Calumet City schools. So we have a guest today, Daphne, or she goes by Dee, and so
Yes.
she's going to tell us a little bit about what happened. So you were involved with this, and you had been talking to the alderwoman. So yeah, tell us what happened.
Yes. Um, my son is in sixth grade at Dirksen Middle School. Dirksen actually separated their school into three schools. So sixth grade is considered CCA, which is Creative Communications Academy.
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yes. So they have Creative Communications Academy, which is sixth grade. SOFA, I'm not sure what that. I think it's something STEM, something of fine arts is the seventh grade, and I think the eighth grade is math and academics or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So my son attends sixth grade there. The other day, his teacher decided to reward the children for being good and getting good grades on testing by giving them gum. Well, this wasn't regular gum that he gave them nicotine gum. And he not only gave them one piece of gum, he gave them each four pieces of gum.
Oh, to each student?
To each student.
Oh
Well,
my
they
goodness.
said it was, well, DCFS got involved. And DCFS said that there was 18 to 20 students that was involved.
Okay.
Um,
What class was it, by the way?
it was they only have one class. I guess they don't switch out
Oh,
classes.
okay.
So this is his actual teacher that they
Okay.
have.
Hmm.
Well, the thing that kind of concerned me was the school has a no gum chewing policy.
I thought I saw that
Yes.
on the post. Okay.
So there's a no gum chewing policy. So that was one red flag because we were trying to figure out why would you give children gum if there's a no gum chewing policy. So that day, how it all started was I received a call. I was at work. I received a call from my son, from the school nurse rather, saying my son was nauseous. First thing as a parent, I do is say, well, did he eat? First concern.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, well, he said he had some gum. And I'm like, some gum? Because my son hadn't had any gum. So I'm like, gum? So she said, well, do you want to speak to him? I'm like, well, yeah. So he gets on the phone and I kind of hear him, but I don't hear him. And then he says, well, Mom, I chewed the gum. And all of a sudden, he was like, the gum was really strong. It burnt my throat. And I started feeling sick to the stomach. So I'm like, well, what kind of gum were you chewing? And he said, well, Mom, the gum on the wrapper, after I looked at it, it said for people who smoke, don't keep out of the reach. It said keep out of the reach of children. So I said, oh boy, because I'm thinking another kid had given him this gum.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, you didn't get something like that. I'm pretty sure you didn't read that. And he's like, yeah, Mom, I did. And I'm like, so I said, put the nurse back on the phone. So when the nurse gets on the phone, I told Nurse Benson, which is her name, I told her, I said, hey, I really don't think that that's what he had, but I'll be up there to pick him up because me as a mom thinking, oh, he's just trying to get out of school early for the day. Well, she says, well, it sounds like he got a hold of some nicotine gum. She said, I'm going to have, the principal investigate this. So my son was actually the first student that kicked off this investigation into everything that was going on. So in the meantime, I go pick up my son. It was about 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So he gets in the car, and I kind of was questioning him. I said, well, who gave you this gum? And he tells me the teacher's name. And when he said the name, I'm like, the teacher? And he's like, yeah, Mom. I said, what? I'm pretty sure the teacher did. I said, why would he give you this gum? So my mind, I'm still thinking there was only one piece of gum. that was given.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I take him, bring him back to my job with me. I watch him, and I'm like, okay, well, I know she said that they were kind of investigating. I'm looking at my son. My son's like, Mom, my head hurts. I'm starting to get a headache. I'm still real nauseous. He's like, my heart's beating really fast, Mom. So I'm pumping fluids in him, giving him water and everything, trying to get him to eat. He's like dozing off, real sleepy and everything. I end up taking him to urgent care, right over here in South Holland. Um, and as I'm talking to the nurse practitioner and everything, he's like, yeah, those are all signs of nicotine overdose. And I said, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. He's like, and then my son said something about 4 milligrams. Well, nobody in my household smokes. So I know nothing about nicotine gum. I don't know nothing. Can't tell you how cigarettes, I mean, I know they're supposed to be like menthol or whatever, but we know nothing.
Right,
so my
right.
11-year-old would know nothing about 4 milligrams or anything like that. And he said, yeah, he was like 4 milligrams, 1 4 milligram is actually the adult dose of what a person who's starting to stop smoke is supposed to take. So he said, well, if your son chewed one piece, then he was like, yeah, he had an adult dose. Well, after investigating, one piece of gum is actually equal to 2 cigarettes.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, as time is going on and I'm talking with my son, like over the course of the day and the next day, he's like, yeah, Mom, he gave us 4 pieces of gum each. So now my mind's kind of blown because I'm like, are you serious? 4 pieces, not 1 piece, but 4 pieces. He's like, yeah, I put 1 piece in my mouth and I started chewing the second piece. He was like, and it got really, really strong. He was like, and I spit it out. And I'm like, you spit it out? I'm like, well, where's the rest of this gum go? And he was like, oh, I threw it away. So, at this point, I've messaged, they have what they call class dojo for the schools so the parents could communicate. I never heard from the school until I reached out to the principal. I'm like, hey, can you call me? I have some questions concerning, an issue that went on concerning my son. Well, when I talked to the principal, this was like the first day that it happened. When I talked to the principal and I kind of asked him, I said, well, hey, what happened? He's like, well, yeah, your son was given some, first he said, not normal gum. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, adult gum. And I'm like, adult gum? And I was like, nicotine gum? Me, I'm like, nicotine gum. And he was like, oh, yeah. Like, oh, you know what it is, So he's like, yeah, unfortunately, he was like, yeah, he was giving it, and I said, well, my son's sick here at my job. And he kind of told me, he was like, well, first he said, my son was the only one sick. And I'm sitting here like, well, my son already told me there was other kids down in the office with him in the nurse's office. So I'm just listening to him because now I'm like, this man's not telling me the truth, So as I'm listening to him talk and he's explaining stuff, then he tells me, yeah, well, as the other kids started to get nauseous, but didn't you just tell me my son was the only one that was sick? So now I don't believe anything that you're saying now because you're covering something up, So he says, yeah, we found out that it was nicotine gum and, we're looking into it. So I said, well, did this teacher know that he was giving these kids nicotine gum? And he said, well, that's what we're investigating now. So it's been left at that. That's what we're investigating now thing. We don't know if this teacher actually did it on purpose. We don't know if it was on accident. My thing is my son has came home and told me a couple of times that this teacher who is from Ghana, he's corrected him on spelling words. He corrected him on vertical, how to spell the word future. So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, well, is it that he couldn't read and he didn't know that he was giving these kids this? Or it kind of goes back to as some of the other parents that I've now came in contact with, they said, well, we've received different messages from this teacher about how our kids were off the chain and our kids weren't listening and they were using foul language toward him. He did make a post in the class dojo saying the class was irate and they were uncontrollable and stuff. So now it has me to question into, was he trying to get rid of these kids? Because to give 18 to 20 kids 4 pieces each, you had to have a mega box.
Mm-hmm.
Nicotine gum is not something that you can go and buy like double mint. Say, hey, I'm reaching on the shelf and buying a pack of double mint.
Right.
I went into 3 different Walgreens and a Walmart, and it's behind the either the clerks or it's behind a glass, unless he ordered it off of Amazon or something like that. But it would still have to be a multi-pack to give kids that many. Right. And it clearly says, for people who smoke, don't keep out of the reach of children. So unless you can't read that, why are you giving this to these children?
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Did any of the students did they keep any like the wrappers or anything?
So the principal snatched, as one of the kids said, they snatched it from us. Oh. So they took it from all of the kids. One parent did get a picture of the package, the wrapper, and she got a picture of the chewed gum that her child had, but they took it from they took it from her child. Oh. Another grandparent that has been working with me, she said that she actually called the police up to the school. Mm-hmm. So that's how the police got involved, Calumet City Police. They said that the police department had asked for the gum. She said that the principal told him that the gum was in the trash. So she said, well, let's go get it out the trash. Well, the gum, it's not on the premises. She said, well, I know the trash man ain't ran that quick that it's gone off the premises. There was like kind of excuse after excuse after excuse. Oh. So the last time that we had kind of spoke to the police, they said they had never got the evidence. Huh? So to me, it was almost like they're hiding the evidence.
Right.
So there was a letter that went out that day that it happened, but it only went out to the class that it happened to.
What was the date of the incident?
So this was, hold on, I can tell you. Yep. So this happened on October 3rd. And the letter so this is the actual letter right here. It said, dear parents and guardians, I am writing you to inform you about an incident that occurred at the school today involving your child's classroom. Unfortunately, several students were provided with nicotine gum instead of regular gum. As soon as staff became aware of the situation, the gum was immediately collected. Appropriate steps were taken to ensure the safety of all students. The school nurse administration properly evaluated the situation and immediately contacted parents. We also consulted with medical professionals for guidance. Please be assured that the safety and well-being of your child are our highest priorities. We are conducting a thorough review of this situation and implementing procedures to prevent it from happening again. You should have received a personal call from the school with further details. If you have any additional concerns or notice any unusual symptoms, please contact your child's healthcare provider immediately. We deeply regret that this incident occurred and sincerely apologize for the worry it may have caused you and your family. I appreciate your understanding. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. And Dr. Maureen White, superintendent of schools, she sent that letter out on October 3rd. Well, that happened October 3rd. I never received this letter until I went up to the school on Tuesday of this past week.
Oh, okay.
So just this Tuesday is when I went and asked for the letter from the principal. So my son had been back to school, and I figured they would send the letter home, because that Saturday after it happened, the principal called me to check up on my son to see how he was doing, because by this time I'm all over social media. I'm making a stink, and I'm with Monet, and she's, been helping me and showing me how to go about, getting in touch with people such as yourself.
And I saw she put out some notices.
Yes.
Some official
PR notices. Yes.
Saying, hey, this is an incident. It happened.
Yes.
Why isn't it being investigated? We need more information.
Right. And so after I started doing that, and she was doing that for me, then they had their PR person put a notice out. And when I looked at it, it kind of got to me, because like I said, it said all the parents had been contacted. All the parents received this letter. No, all the parents haven't, because myself and 3 other parents had not received this letter. And like I said, I went up to the school just this past week. Now, this happened almost 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just received the letter and I had to go get it myself.
And
You know,
did it just go out to the class, or
it just went out to their class.
So it didn't even go out
So,
to the rest of the school.
To the rest of the school. And the thing is, there's a lot of parents, and my son has other friends that are in other classes and stuff that I kind of know and keep in contact with. And I've been telling them about the situation. They knew nothing about it.
Oh, wow.
And it's crazy because like the more and more I'm on social media and I'm posting stuff, or it's like I'm getting other parents that either have 7th graders, have 8th graders, and they're reaching out saying, oh my gosh, we didn't know about this. But not only that, but they're actually telling me about other issues that they had. One lady that has a 7th grader there said that her daughter's teacher, math teacher, the second day of school asked the classroom, what is their relationship status? What is their sexual preferences? Told him that he has 4 wives. And I guess one of the other little girls came back and told her mom, who in turn told her, she said she went up to the school. She said all they did was switch her out of her classroom. And the teacher's still working there. So it's like they're kind of covering up, and they have, these, and I understand there's a shortage of teachers, but you still have to be careful of who our kids are around,
right.
Especially nowadays, and I'm like, what does a child's relationship or sexual preference have to do with mathematics? I mean, 2 and 2 is 4. What does that have to do with anything, to me?
And were there other incidents that you've heard about?
So there was an incident last year at Caroline Sibley, where my son was a 5th grader, where there was spaghetti served for lunch. The spaghetti was old and had maggots in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they said it was a one lunch period incident, but then it was kind of swept under the rug. Somebody tried to say that it was planted in there, but you can't plant it in a bunch of kids' spaghetti. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they have like a big pot of spaghetti that they're scooping out of, so it's just like different little things. And then there's like the other instance of where there was just a parent that was fighting one of the little girls, and she cut the little girl 20 times. The school didn't know anything about it, and the mother got a call from the daughter at the hospital saying that she had got cut up because the girls was fighting over a boy, So like I told them, I said, not only do I have to worry about my son and going to school, like he may be bullied, he may, he may get into a fight or something like that, and protecting himself against the students. Now I have to worry about protecting him against his teachers or staff at the school, So, and my son's, he's little for his age. He's not a big 11-year-old. He's a little guy, So like when people see him, they think he's like little grade schooler almost. So it's like I have to protect him at all costs, And I'm like, for it not to be out, like we did manage to get it in the Chicago Tribune, but we've been reaching out to newspapers.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks to Monet.
Shout out to Monet Wilson.
Yes, she's
I wouldn't
awesome.
either.
She's awesome, yeah. And so it's like we did get it into the Chicago Tribune, but like reaching out to Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 32, nobody's picked up. One of the grandmothers, which is Miss Lakeisha, I think you talked to her, she said that she talked to somebody at Channel 7 and they claimed they aired it. I went back and went through everything, never seen it. And I'm like, I know there's a big thing with the ICE. Yes, that's a big thing. But something like this is important too. Getting it out about our kids, safety of our babies and everything. And so they did just have like a school board meeting the other day. There's a group of us parents, there's about 7 of us now. We went to the city council meeting at Calumet City. We stood up, we, just wanted to let them know what was going on and everything. They did have the chief of police, really nice guy, excuse me, really nice guy. He did explain a lot of stuff to us. They're still investigating. It's like an open investigation. Like I said, DCFS is involved too also now. So there's like a lot of avenues.
The mayor, Thaddeus Jones, did he say anything?
He apologized. Like when I made my statement, he did apologize. He was sympathetic about it. He never made like a press release or anything like that. But he did apologize when I made my statement about the issue. When the grandmother got up there, Miss Lakeisha got up there and said her statement, he kind of, I guess because she kind of pointed them out and not making an actual statement and stuff, they kind of got on the defense about it, you know. Which he did later on tell us that he couldn't make like a blanket statement because of legal issues and stuff, which I understand, you know. But like he said, well, his thing was making sure that he had the chief of police there to make it aware to the public of what happened and that it was an ongoing investigation and everything. But as far as like anything else, like it was nothing ever said or anything like that done. It's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of tragic because it's not getting out there, and it's like it's basically at a standstill. Like I said, we went to the school board. The school district had a school board meeting the other night.
Oh yeah, how did that go?
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible in the fact that they made the public comments last, so we had to sit there and listen to everything that was going on. And it was a lot of stuff that, yeah, okay, it might be nice. Like they showed us how the test scores went up from COVID and everything, and they were applauding the teachers and stuff. And when I did get up, I said, yeah, you guys do have some good teachers. Bravo to them. Hands off to them. I said, but you got a lot of teachers that aren't so great, you know. And this teacher being one of them. My son's teacher that he had in 5th grade was another one. She told me the very first parent-teacher conference, she had PTSD from kids standing up. I'm like, well, I think you're in the wrong field because these kids are going to stand up. They're not going to sit down all day. There's kids that are, you know, have ADHD. These kids are active now. I'm like, they're not just going to sit down like an adult, as we could sit down and say, okay, we're sitting down for 8 hours of the day. And then she was taking away their recess. So now they're full of energy.
Aww, yeah.
So, and you didn't took away they can't run and get this energy out, you know. So what do you expect them to do? You know, so, and I thought it was just me at first, but then I end up meeting parents, and there was a whole slew of parents that did not like this teacher. So like I did make a statement and I said, maybe you guys need to have like a parents board. And these parents would get in contact with, you know, other parents. Like the parents could come with issues and stuff. And then we can meet like maybe once a month with, you know, the board, the school board, and say, hey, these are the issues that we're finding out that these parents are having, or these are the issues that's going on at the school. And we could try to work out some kind of way to rectify it. You know, I'm more of
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
I'm more of the parent that I'm the sensible parent that will try to work with you. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm mad as HE double hockey sticks, you know. But at the same time, I'm still like that person that, hey, I need you to listen to me. I need you to hear me. So I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to scream at you. I'm not going to cuss you, you know, because I need you to hear me. If I start yelling and screaming and cussing, they're not going to buy there. It's cut off at that point. You know what I mean? And like they did hear me. And at the end, they was like, because I went like over my 3 minutes. So they was like, oh, Miss March, we have to cut you off, you know. But they was like, get her information so we can get in contact with her, you know, which that to me said I made a statement with them because now.
Did they follow up?
So they haven't followed up yet. Okay. This was just 2 days ago. Okay. So I don't expect them to reach back that far because now it's the weekend. But I did, and I told them about their statement that they had their PR person write, saying that they reached out to everyone, because I think she commented on Monet's PR statement that she had made. And I went in, and what happened was I didn't go in on that page. I went in on Dalton Politics page because she had posted it in there because I had made a post too.
Oh,
And I
okay.
went in and, I told her, I said, I know it's not on you. I said, but as a whole, that upset me, that statement, because I had not been contacted. I had not received that letter,
Right.
And so I did tell the board, I said, instead of you guys just making a letter and putting it out there, making a statement and putting it out there, why don't you find out if everybody had been contacted? I said, because like there's always three sides to a story. There's her side, his side, and then the truth. I said, and I'm here to speak the truth. I said, I was never contacted until I reached out. I was doing all the reaching. I said, still to this point, I'm doing the reaching. I said, nobody calls me. Nobody checks on my son. I said, there was one baby that chewed 6 pieces of gum.
Oh.
He went by ambulance from the school to the hospital. 6 pieces. This baby has nightmares. He's scared to go to school. He's scared that teacher may come back.
Yeah.
So this poor baby went to school. The first day he went to school, he's a good kid, straight A student. First day he got to school, he got into a fight. So now he's back at home. His mom says he wakes up trembling and stuff.
Oh, poor.
So there's, it's like, it's.
And did the school tell everybody about, hey, we had to have a child taken to the hospital?
Nope.
Because there's a way to be truthful and to put information out and still protect, legally, and like saying, okay, we're not throwing the teacher under the bus, we're not throwing anyone under the bus, but we're just trying to disclose.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do it, but it sounds like you found out about a lot of this through talking to other parents.
Yeah.
Not from the district.
Right. And it's crazy because we've basically formed this parents group now. Like I said, there's 7 of us. We
Good
keep in touch with each other.
That's what we
became the village.
Yes, that's
so like we call each other every day. We keep in touch with we have a Facebook group that we've made. That's a private group for us that we keep in touch. We put everything in there. So we have one another's backs, and we understand that we all want the same thing. We want transparency. We want clarity. We want justice for our babies. The other day I went in the school board and I make shirts. So I had a shirt on that said justice for school district 149 6th graders. And I put hashtag our kids matter, and I had it on in front. I had it on in front of them, and I told them, I said, I'm big on supporting our kids, and I said, as you guys can see from my shirt, and they all kind of looked at my shirt, I said, but it's like I said, it's a way to be heard without being loud,
Right.
And it was so funny because the grandmother, she came in, and I love her to death because she's one of them that doesn't sugarcoat anything, She came in, she had a packet of nicotine gum that she had brought. And she came in full force, and she started off and she said, imagine an 11-year-old going to school, yada, yada, yada. And then she said, now, how about, she said, I have a pack of nicotine gum right here. She said, I really want to offer you guys a piece. She said, but I doubt if you guys will take it. And they all kind of looked at her like,
Oh,
but
that's smart, actually.
It was smart of her, and like I said, everybody is all for the same thing, but we each have our different approaches, which is a good thing, because they never know who's who or who's coming, so.
I haven't talked to her. I'd like to meet her.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Awesome.
But that's a good point, because think of if, and again, because I used to teach full-time high school and some junior high. So I understand the idea of, teachers get a lot of flack, and like I said, you want to follow the process, you want to respect the person and investigate first and everything. But so my first question was, is the teacher still teaching? Did they put him on leave?
So I guess they put him on leave. We don't know. We're still trying to figure that out.
Okay. But the kids are not seeing him when they go.
No.
There's like a
So my son said before he left that day, he said he's seen them walking the teacher out. Another one of the children said they were still in the classroom. They said the principal and them came in the classroom and asked the teacher, do you want to leave for the day or do you want to stay? So basically, like they
Oh.
gave him the option.
Hmm.
To me, there wasn't no option. Get out should have been the thing. You've given these kids this gum, get out, So we don't know. It's kind of in limbo. And I think that's our thing is, yeah, he may be on leave from our school, but who knows? He may be over in another district teaching.
Right, that's crazy.
We don't know.
Or maybe he's substitute teaching at another school in the district.
That too.
You don't, and if you're not getting the communication from the district, you don't know. And then my concern was, like I said, especially coming from a teaching background, is that you realize the law says that you're in, when you're a teacher, you're in loco parentis is the legal expression. So you're you are in place of the parents.
Yes.
And the children, even if they don't like you and if they're very difficult or whatever, they will have their issues, especially in junior high. It's a really tough age. But still, there is a level of trust. So imagine, like you said, that other parent or grandparent, if other adults wouldn't want to take nicotine gum from an adult that they don't even know,
right?
A child is more vulnerable because they're just going to trust and say, oh, okay, well, I guess I did well, and if they're giving this to me, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, and that was the thing, because I think each one of us parents, we were all talking, and we all kind of all said together, we were like, yeah, we fuss at them and tell them, don't take nothing from nobody. I said, my thing is, I fuss at my son all the time. I'm like, hey, I don't care if it's a cookie, I don't care if it's a piece of candy, don't take anything, I said, one, because you never know how clean people's houses are. That's me. I'm a big germaphobe when it comes to stuff at times. But at the same time, you never know with people nowadays. There's a lot of mental health issues going on, so you just never know. So when I first got my son, I'm like, well, what did you take the gun from him for? And he's like, Mom, it was my teacher.
Right. See, they had that level of trust.
And like you said, that level of trust. And I couldn't get mad because it was look on his face and he was like, it was my teacher. And I'm like, well, they are supposed to trust their teacher, And the crazy thing is, I work with children too. And I just was having this discussion with my babies yesterday. And I'm like, hey, because I had gave my son a piece of candy. I was eating some Starburst and I gave him a piece, and then my niece came up and I gave her a piece. And one of the other little kids was like, hey, Miss D, can I have a piece too? And I'm like, oh, I can't give you one. And they kind of looked at me like, what? And so I had to explain to him. I said, it's not Miss D being mean, not wanting to give you anything. I said, but at this point, I said, there was an issue that DJ just went through. And I said, his teacher gave him something that he wasn't supposed to have, that only an adult was supposed to have. I said, so you can't trust everybody. Just because people are nice to you doesn't always mean they have a good heart. And so I'm trying to explain it to these kids in a good way without overstepping my boundaries, but at the same time, because I'm like, when we reward the kids at our center, I'm going back in the snack room and I'm giving them something that the center provides. So it might be like, we have Doritos, we have, little packs of trail mix and stuff like that. So we even have some candy that we have for the kids. So, okay, yeah, the kids love the Takis. We have Takis back there. So, okay, you're helping me take out trash or you're cleaning up an area or something like that. Okay, yep, you get a bag of chips, you get a bag of Takis, but it's nothing that I went and personally brought. It's something that the center provided, So that's what I told him. As long as you see Ms. D go back in that snack room and get it and come out and it's something that you guys have had before, that's fine. I said, but even when you're at school, I said, if your teachers give you something, don't eat it till you get to your mom's. I said, mom and dad, let them see it first and then you eat it. And they were like, well, one of the little girls said, well, my teacher gives us candy and it's open. I said, don't you eat it. That was my first thing, because I'm like, that right there just put a red flag, because I'm like, oh, it's open already and you're giving these to the kids. Okay, yep, that's a big red flag. So it's scary because, like you said, the kids are supposed to be able to trust
Right.
educators and stuff like that. But nowadays it's just so scary. It's so scary.
Oh, and what? Just so our viewers know too, this is District 149.
149.
So
Yep.
that covers.
It's actually
part of Cal City.
It's Dalton, but it's part of Cal City. Yeah,
so it's mostly Dalton.
It's
but
Dalton, but like so. Dirksen actually sits in Calumet City, but the way it's cut up, it's like Dalton, Calumet City all together. So yeah, it's still Calumet City, but it's considered Dalton School District because even their office is on Torrance Avenue in Calumet City.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's because that's Caroline Sibley School. Wait, is that in
it's
Cal City too, right?
Yep. Because we actually live right up the street from Caroline Sibley.
Oh,
so we're in Calumet City, but that's considered Dalton School District. Yeah,
so
it's
is
really
it like
weird.
the western part of Calumet City then?
Yes.
Maybe? Like
yes.
the newer part.
The newer part, yep.
Because there's another, what is
the older one, I think
part?
it's 150 something.
And that's like east of Wentworth?
Yeah, because that's like Lincoln School and on the other side of Burnham area.
Yeah.
It's over there.
The more historic part.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what I was wondering too. So it's a little bit of Dalton, just because Dalton's been in the news, obviously with Tiffany Henry and all that.
Yes.
So because there are some Dalton students there, has anybody gone to a Dalton Village meeting or reached out to their representatives? I wonder what they would have to say.
We haven't. Like I said, I've been posting it in the Dalton Politics, and I've had a lot of like support.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, support. Like people reaching out to me. They're trying to follow up, see what happened. They're like, oh, lawyer up. That was the first thing everybody told me. They was like, lawyer up. And then and that was the biggest thing was that very first letter, they admitted that they gave it to them. And I guess that was the biggest thing was like usually, when people be like, oh, lawyer up, it's like, okay, now you got to prove the guilt. Oh, you guys can prove the guilt already. It's there, So they admitted it, And then it was like the next letter that they put out, the next statement that they put out, because it wasn't signed by anything. It was just what they had Dr. Nikita Cloud put out. It wasn't signed by anything, but it said it was given in error. Well, we're still waiting on the investigation to prove that it was error. Because like I said, and so that was like another thing was that they said it was an error in this thing. But when I asked, hey, did he do this on purpose or did he know that he was giving it to them? Did he even know what he was giving them? They said, oh, that's what we're trying to investigate now. And it's been left at that. And like I said, we've done, and I know, we all know that it's going to be a long investigation, but our main thing is we don't know where this teacher is. Nobody's seen this teacher. Even the police department was like, they have to bring this guy in, to question him or whatever, And then
he'll probably have to get a lawyer or he'll have some union representation.
Yep.
And certainly, like I said, that's fair, especially as a former teacher, give the person due process, follow it. But it's crazy when you don't know what is going on. Yeah. Because, from what you're saying, you're the group you're with, you're being very reasonable. It doesn't sound like it's, you're not calling for his head or anything, And so it's crazy when, some parents would just want to go in and burn it all down. But you guys are being really reasonable, and you're
we do have
still
a couple
not
of
getting
parents.
the answers.
We do have a couple of parents that are ready because, one of the parents went into the school board and told the whole school board she wanted their seats.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame them.
And she has every right to say that because she was like, yeah, all those scores that you got up there saying how they rise. She was like, yeah, my son did that. My son's honor roll. Just like my son, he's on the honor roll too. So straight A's and B's. But the thing is, she was like, I want you guys all removed out of your seats. She was like, because you're hiring all these, I guess they have a contract. Oh, okay. So I guess this District 149 has let me get the right word. I guess it's like an international contract. So they're bringing in a lot of teachers from Ghana and other places and stuff because I do see a lot of them in there.
I had
Now,
not heard of that. Okay.
the thing is, because we've been trying to do our own little investigation into the background, their teaching
Mm-hmm.
background. What are their qualifications? That's our thing, is we're trying to figure out, was he even qualified?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, like, if I was a nurse and I'm working here in Illinois as a nurse. If I move to Indiana, they have different credentials. So now I have to
Mm-hmm.
sit for their board, take their test, because I have to meet their qualifications.
Right.
So them traveling abroad, how do their qualifications meet up to our qualifications as a teacher?
Right.
So now that's in question too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have an 11-year-old telling you spelled vertical and future wrong.
Yeah.
That right there questioned me, because
Right.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? And then we never seen homework. This guy never gave the
Oh.
kids homework.
Hmm.
So I think a couple of parents reached out to him and said, hey, do you give out homework? He put in our class dojo. He said, hey, I usually give homework on Fridays. So now that was another red flag, because why would you give the kids homework on the weekend that they're supposed to be relaxing, enjoying themselves and being a kid? But
Right.
okay. He said, I'll be giving them homework on Friday, starting this Friday. Well, that Friday came and went, and I've never seen any homework.
Oh.
So I was like, well, maybe they're doing it at school. Okay, fine. They're doing work in school. That's okay. Now the kids can actually be a kid. But at the same time, they're supposed to be getting prepared to go into these higher grades.
Mm-hmm.
And if these higher grades are giving them math homework, English homework, now they're not used to this. So now they're overwhelmed. They're overstimulated,
Right. Yeah.
and don't know what to do. Now they're burnt out, Now you got these kids and you got to kind of calm them down, and you got to get them, because they don't know what to do. So that was like another concern of mine, is because, yeah, you're supposed to be preparing them to go, and like I was teasing, because one of the little girls, it was her birthday the other day, and we went bowling. Well, the bowling was only supposed to be from 6:30 to 7:30, but we had some issues because it was the same night as the meeting, so I didn't get there till like 8 something. So we let the kids bowl. It was a school night. Well, we got home late, and that next morning I had to open up our center. I had to be there at 5:30. So my son was like knocked out. I took a picture of him. He's in the chair with his little Mario Brothers socks on, like kicked up, laid back. So I'm laughing, and I'm like, yeah, I guess his first years of college will be at community college, because we see he won't make it at a university. Because I said, I could just see him now. Now he's out at a party, got class first thing in the morning. He's knocked out. He's not making it to that class. So let me prepare myself that he will be at a community college that first year, 2 years. So everybody kind of laughs. Sorry, let me silence this.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. South Suburban is wonderful.
Yeah. So.
But that's so interesting. Oh, let me just make sure we're still okay. Okay, good. Yeah, so you're still waiting to see, what's happening with the teacher, waiting for more information from the district. Is there a PTA or any sort of parent organization right now?
Not that I know. I haven't heard of one. I haven't heard of one at all.
Do you think you guys will? Do you think this small group might lead to something more?
I'm pretty sure it will. Because we've been actively reaching out to parents. Our thing is now, like, even as far as like with the school board meetings, we've been reaching out to the community, to parents in the community, trying to get them to show up to these school board meetings and stuff.
Good.
Because we want it to be heard. And the thing is, after we found out, because I guess the principal mentioned to one of the parents that they were trying to keep this, just the class that knew. No, okay. So we need to know. Everybody needs to know. This is a community thing, So that's why we've been out, and we've been trying to be vocal, and we've been trying to get it out there to let everybody know this is what's going on in these schools, and it's kind of everything that's going on is kind of being swept under the rug, and it shouldn't be, because it can happen to the next person's child, and like I said, like even being on social media, making posts and stuff, and like I posted, like I said, in Dalton Politics, I'm in a group that's for Homewood. I think it says Homewood.
Is it Moms and Dads? There's one that I'm in for.
I think it might be.
More Moms and Dads.
It's no. This one is Homewood. It's probably Moms and Dads or schools or something, but it's like Homewood, Chicago Heights, and some other little areas. It like has a couple of different areas. So I posted in there. And I mean, you have some people that come with backlash. It's expected. I had one lady that came and told me, she was like, "So what? Your kid chewed a piece of gum. Get over it. My kid died of an overdose." And I'm like,
you're like, okay. And that's very common. I was going to say, related to the whole the Trump stuff and the ICE stuff and like the No Kings protest. There have been many articles and studies on this, and it is true that there are also bots online. So there are a lot of bot accounts.
Yes.
So just be aware, just because I post a lot of stuff online, especially related to politics and stuff. So sometimes it's real people that are trolling, but you also have
the bots.
And they tend to be more on the right, more sort of fascist or fascist leaning.
Yep.
And so anytime you put anything about, hey, we're the parents, democracy, power to the people. We want to make sure our schools are doing what they're supposed to. It seems like those posts will attract. Because sometimes I've looked and I'm like, I don't even know who is this person. And then I think, this is probably a bot. Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they even be commenting?
Yeah, and so it was like, like I started off, I said, my condolences to you. I said, but, and then like, as I got to reading it, I'm like, she's like talking about her child was at work. I'm like, you got a grown ass kid that overdosed. That.
Like, that's not the same
This
thing.
is a 6-year-old. This is not a baby that's going out vaping. This is not a child that's out just going to the store like, hey, can I get a cigarette from you? Can I get a piece of gum? I'm like, this is a kid that has never had anything in his system. And that was the thing. Like, these kids have had nothing but whatever the doctor has prescribed them in their bodies and stuff. So their little systems are, like, I might pick up a piece of nicotine gum by accident and chew it. And which is funny because I did one day, me going out, hanging with people, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking it's a regular piece of candy, chewed a gummy that had THC in it.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die.
Oh no.
I had an out-of-body experience because I had never had anything before.
Oh yeah.
So
that would probably be me too.
Oh my gosh. And it's so funny because my boyfriend teases me now and he's like, hey, you want a gummy? And I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And it's not that he was really going to give me one, but that's like our little inside joke. Just like we tease DJ and be like, you want some gum? And he'd be like,
like, no more gum
no
for me.
more. And so it, like we tease him, but like he'll tease me and say, you want a gummy? I'm like, no, thank you. And so, but I had an out-of-body experience, and it was like I was hearing things in 3D. Like I could literally hear my son like on his game controller. I heard the people outside. I heard everything they were saying.
Oh, wow.
I had a phone call and I literally was looking at the phone 1 minute. The phone was laying there and I was like looking and I could not move. I couldn't say anything. I could hear them talking, but it was like I wasn't myself.
Oh, wow.
So I can just imagine. And I guess that's why I never indulged in nothing.
Right.
And I probably would never do it because that to me was just, no, thank you.
That would freak me out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that.
It really did. So I could just imagine what these kids went through with, having that in their little systems and stuff. Because it was probably almost the same, especially when I read 1 piece of gum was 2 cigarettes. So if my son chewed 2 pieces of gum, he didn't actually have 4 cigarettes. I told him, I said, hey, do I need to send you to Anonymous Smokers Anonymous? And he laughs, But then at the same time, it was kind of weird because I had him and my niece in the car and I actually had some double mint gum. And I was like, hey, because I would always say, hey, you want a piece of gum? Just like if I pull gum out now and I'm like, hey, do you want a piece of gum? And he kind of took the gum. And I'm not thinking nothing of it, and I'm driving, and then he looked at my niece, and he was like, Selena, you want some gum? And she's like, yeah, because she doesn't know what happened. So she's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, you chew it first. And when he said that, I kind of was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
I'm like, my poor baby. It actually traumatized him,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't like, normally he would have popped it open, start chewing the gum, and then be like, oh, you ain't getting none, Selena, like teasing his cousin.
Mm-hmm.
But he literally did not chew that gum till after she had chewed it, and he
Mm-hmm.
watched her. And I'm kind of looking out the side of my eyes as I'm driving, and I'm like, he's traumatized. I said,
Yeah.
he don't even want to take gum from his own mom
Yeah,
now,
it sticks with
so
you.
it sticks with
Mm-hmm.
but, and I said, I could just imagine these other kids that took more than
Mm.
that, that had, especially the baby that took the 6 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, he probably will never touch a piece of gum ever in his life.
And I'm wondering, I know, I don't think it was 149, but I know one of the Dalton districts, the superintendent was in the news several times because he was making around $500,000. But, and I think he either resigned or retired or something. But yeah,
Okay.
that was huge.
Oh
But I wonder
wow.
how much your administrators are making because
Mm.
those are, our tax dollars that are going to
Right,
all our public
right,
schools.
right.
So, I don't know if you're aware or anything. I mean, we could definitely
See,
look it
that's
up,
probably
but
something that we could look up and find out.
because usually they make definitely
A
six
pretty penny.
figures,
Yeah.
but yeah, like that was in the news recently because that guy, like I said, I forget which district was it, 144. I can't remember
Mm.
the numbers for the
Okay.
districts, but
Okay.
yeah, like close to 500,000,
Oh
and so it's
wow.
like what,
Wow.
and in our communities, are people are losing their homes because they can't
Yeah.
afford to pay the property
And that's
taxes.
that was something that I was like, the property taxes are
Mm-hmm.
extremely high out here. Extremely high. And you would
Yeah.
think that we would have better for the kids because of
Yeah.
the property taxes being so high, that money could go into the school districts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it seems like me, I graduated from Thornton High School, born and raised here. Went to, well, I actually started at Thornwood, and then my mom moved to Riverdale for a while.
Oh,
So
okay. That's
I
cool.
ended up, and then she moved to Harvey. So I graduated proud Wildcat, Wildcats
Oh,
all the
okay.
way.
Good. That's good.
So I remember back when we were growing up, Dalton and Calumet City were the cities that you wanted to live in. You wanted to move to. So, like, after I graduated, my mom actually bought a house in Calumet City.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, mom, you're doing big things. By this time, I'm grown. I'm in college, So I'm thinking, hey, my mom lives in Calumet City. So I eventually moved away. And as I was coming back from Tennessee, that was my thing. I'm like, oh, I'm looking at Dalton and Calumet City, and people are like, no, you don't want to move there. No, you don't. They said definitely don't move to Dalton because of the mayor. Because this was around the time Tiffany was still in office.
Oh, okay, okay.
So, because I just moved back
Oh, I was gonna say,
recently.
so you came back
Yeah,
recently.
I
Oh, okay,
just
okay.
moved back recently.
Oh, well,
So,
welcome. But
yes.
that's good. We want people like you in the Southland because
Yeah.
obviously you care and you're gonna speak up. But isn't it sad? It always makes me sad as someone who's from this area and then had family and all. Harvey,
Mm-hmm.
Dalton, Riverdale, everything. It's how does that make you feel? When you hear people saying that about where you grew up.
Like, it's,
Oh, you don't want to be here. You're like,
yeah,
why
like, and
not?
people tell me, they're like, what made you move back? And I'm like, this is
Oh,
my roots, this is my home. I'm
yes,
like, and
yeah.
yeah, like, I used to always say, I'll never move back home. I'll never move back home. But my thing was, my heart was still here,
Mm.
and it was like, I found
Oh.
myself always coming back to visit. Like, my older kids live here still, and my sister lives here. She's in Homewood. My daughter's in Linwood, so it's like, I still had friends here. All my friends is here. And then even with my small business that I have, since I've been back home, it's been blew up,
Oh,
with my little business.
good.
So
That's
it's
awesome.
like I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But like, to hear people say, oh no, you don't want to move to Calumet City. Oh no, you don't want to move to Dalton. And I'm like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace of God, I've had nothing bad in Calumet City happen to me. Only thing I can is the parking. That's the only thing. Because I live in the apartment area.
Oh,
So
okay.
parking is
But I was gonna say,
horrible.
are you in Monet's ward or no? Or
Mm,
she's just helped you?
no, she's just helped me. She's helped me. I think I'm
Mm.
like around her area,
You
but
might be a Tillman,
Tillman,
maybe.
I think.
I
Yeah.
think his ward is closer to Dalton. It borders
I'm
Dalton, I think, like the
I'm
northwest
I'm
part does it.
on Yates. So I think I'm
Oh yeah, I
yeah, I'm
think that's
like,
him. I think it's
yeah.
Tillman.
So I'm like, it's just, a lot of a lot of, when they was telling me, it was just a lot of like why questions, why, what happened. And then it's crazy because like you drive through Dalton and you see all the houses that's empty and condemned and stuff, and I'm like,
Right.
well, what's going on? Like, where's these? Why can't you invest back into it? You know, it seems like there should be some kind of way that we can invest into it and bring these houses back to life, because they're just sitting there. And then the longer they sit there, they're going to be dilapidated. And now you're bringing down the tax dollars. The property taxes is going down as far as how much the area is worth. But you're still going to charge an arm and a leg for these taxes, you know. So so it's just crazy.
It's all connected. Now I was going to say, because of your experiences, do you think? Because obviously, I'm always trying to encourage people to get involved locally. But do you think that you or any of your parent group or people you talk to would run for school board or something in the city? Or
maybe, pretty sure. We haven't really discussed that yet. I know we had discussed about like the teaching thing. We had a couple of parents that was saying, you know, they were wondering what the qualifications was for teaching, what the qualifications was for substituting and everything. Because I did kind of like, I asked my son every day, who taught your class today? Who was your teacher? Majority of the time it's the gym teacher. And so I kind of questioned, well, I'm hoping the gym teacher is qualified to teach a regular class and not just gym.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm hoping that's what it is. But there's still that question up in the air, because we have yet to find out the qualifications of this actual teacher.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I don't know this board well, but it definitely, it doesn't seem like they're very good with transparency or communication. So.
And that's like our whole thing that we've been having an issue with, is that we can't get the answers that we want. You know, that the questions. And that's why I said maybe they can have like a meeting of the minds, so-called, you know, whereas we could say, hey, this is a question, you know, can you give us an answer to this? And I think like us as a parents group, I think if the situation would have been a little different, like instead of them trying to hide things, I think maybe we would have came at it a little different. But it's like everything's being hidden and kind of swept under the table.
Right.
So now it's these open questions. Yeah. So now we're at the point that we're at now.
And I don't know who your superintendent is either, but imagine if
Dr. White.
Dr. White? Okay.
Yes.
So whoever, you know, the board hires a superintendent, and the superintendent is supposed to be setting the tone for the whole district. So that's another reason why I was asking. I'm like, you know, that other parent is probably right. You know, if I were you, I would consider, you know, who wants to run, or you know, or at least some people to support. Because usually, as I cover local politics, usually most people have no idea who's on like the park boards, the school boards, the city boards, whatever, and then you end up getting left over, like all of our tax money goes to these boards, and it's kind of like the leftover people. Or it's the people who are the bullies, or they're the loudest, or they're the ones that have a network of like, well, I'm the most popular, but does that mean that they're good at doing their job?
I think what the school board over there is, I think it's who knows who. That's in there.
It becomes like a popularity contest.
I think it's who knows who, and I think everybody is either related some way, or kind of, I know you and you're related to this person, and so I'm bringing you in type thing. So, yeah.
And the actual job of the board is not always because I see that in so many of the boards that I cover, where it's like the job they're supposed to be doing for the public is oftentimes the very last thing they consider. It's all about, well, how much money can I get from this position? And can I give my family or friends contracts? Can they supply the food? Can they do the landscaping? Can they do? And then you're like, well, what if it's a school board? What about the kids and the learning? And that's like the very last thing. You know, which is a shame. So, but I applaud what you guys are doing. You're asking questions. You're getting involved. So I'm glad to at least help to get your story out there. Is there anything else that you wanted to maybe either say to the community, or something that you want to put out there like, hey, this is what we want to happen. Like this is
Well,
our vision.
basically our thing is, yeah, monetary, that's great, but our thing is we want transparency. We want to be heard. We want action. We want actual teachers in there that will actually teach our children and care about our children, because we entrust our children to them. We don't just want somebody that's coming to collect a check. We want somebody that's actually going to be there and care and treat our kids as if they're their own, and yeah, it's great that they have these international contracts, but these kids can't understand these people coming over, and I think that's like a big thing, because you have these ESL classes where kids are learning, that speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to comprehend English, because they say our language is the hardest to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine now you have these people coming from Ghana and wherever, Nigeria and wherever else they're coming. They have thick accents.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids don't understand them.
Right.
And then the other thing I guess that I forgot was there's a teacher over at New Beginnings. He's Jamaican. And there's a big thing about how he was talking to the kids and he said, my nigga friends. That's not what you say to these little kids,
Right.
And it was crazy because one of the little boys that's at my center, he was telling me about it. He was like, yeah, he calls us his little nigga friends. And I'm like, what? He said, what to you? And it was funny because as I was talking to some of the parents, they brought it up. And I said, oh, I know the exact teacher that you're talking about.
Know?
I guess they do.
Because to me, again, as a former full-time teacher, that would be where the administration should take the teacher aside and say, hey, maybe you could say that in Jamaica, but here that's not something you want to say as a teacher.
Right.
So if they know and they're not doing their job, then that's where I'm like, you guys are doing awesome, because you're asking questions, you're going to meetings, because it's really, there are schools, we all pay our taxes, and I think that's where maybe we could end it, because I was going to say, as I'm thinking about if I'm going to go to a No Kings protest today, it's kind of connected to ICE and Trump and all the stuff we see going on, where a lot of us were raised to say, oh, the U.S. is a great country, and just trust all the authorities, that they're always going to do the right thing. But what do we end up actually seeing is that if we never hold people accountable, unfortunately, a lot of times people will do things that are not good. And that actually harm us. And so it's not saying that you want to turn into a bitter person and never trust anybody. Right. You just need to hold people accountable.
You need to hold people accountable. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you don't want your child to grow up, wanting to fight everybody and thinking that they're always going to hurt you.
Right.
But it's just saying, hey, this is why we always, every generation, every day, we remind ourselves that if we want to live in a democracy, we have to participate.
Right.
Then we have to all come together, because otherwise, unfortunately, not everyone is out for our best.
Exactly. Our best interests. Right.
So, but no, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for listening to us. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and stay tuned. Maybe we'll get some updates. And I know I'm due to go back to Calumet City and talk to Monet and Inyota as well. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.